So we know the basis of human movement in many ways is how the hands and eyes coordinate to the best position in the pelvis. So we're going to go to that once again. Human movement is really controlled by the lovely interaction between how the hands and eyes are coordinating the best position to move our pelvis. While our pelvis is the segment loosely connected with our center of mass, the hand-eye coordination is very much the main driver of kind of why we move the way we do. So a lovely playful way we can start to use to establish that interaction between kind of hand-eye coordination and how that best positions the pelvis, kind of using that head-pelvis kind of relationship. So little references we can use. For example, these are two of many, so we'll start to explore more of these in additional tutorials. So these are kind of two of many we can start to use from that face-on view. But as we move through backswing, top of backs and that concept of kind of head kind of sits and drifts over the inside of that kind of trail knee on top of that trail hip. So once again, as we start to move through backswing from that face-on view, as we rotate through backswing, the top of backswing, the head kind of sits inside the knee on top of that kind of trail hip. So therefore then from that target line view, another great reference we can use is from the target line view then, as we start to move kind of loosely speaking around about here when the shaft kind of sits with the forearm, the head kind of sits almost kind of over those knees, kind of in front of the pelvis. So really what we're trying to avoid is, for example, the kind of head gets behind the knees, almost behind the pelvis, or the head gets excessively then forwards of those knees in that kind of downswing. So using those references once again, from face on to really kind of that lovely connection, hand-eye coordination, how it connects into the pelvis. At top of backswing, how the head is sitting inside the trail knee, on top of that kind of trail hip, so it's avoiding moving outside of, but it's certainly encouraging it not to kind of stay almost kind of too much in the middle, which then creates adaptations through that spine as far as excessive extension and lateral flexion through that spine. So from the face-on view, the head kind of sits on top of the hip, inside the knee, and then from that target line view to really encourage that early connection between hand-eye coordination and the pelvis, loosely speaking head to pelvis, as you move into that kind of downswing target line view, as you move downwards around about when the shaft kind of sits through the forearm, how the head sits almost on top of the knees rather than, as it can be in some cases, kind of gets behind the pelvis, or in some cases gets then too far ahead of those knees. So using that kind of downswing reference in that target line view, when the shaft is kind of through the forearm, as you'll see here by those kind of lines on screen, how the head sits directly on top of those knees. These kind of playful references can be great ways in exploring that lovely interaction between hand-eye coordination and the pelvis. Loosely speaking, or coarsely speaking, how the head and pelvis move and interact can be a very playful way of then encouraging good hand-eye coordination alongside the pelvis.